Sellen, the Graven witch, is a character that flew a little too close to the sun. Unlike Icarus, though, it wasn't just to pursue knowledge or to explore, but she had this ambition to become even more powerful and rule the Academy of Raya Lucaria through acts only an evil witch can commit. In this video, we'll be analyzing the psychology of Sellen, which can be broken down into three parts that define the character throughout her story: knowledge, hubris, and revenge. Before we start, I just wanted to mention that if you end up enjoying the video, feel free to like and subscribe. If there's anything you'd like to discuss about the video, feel free to leave a comment. Sellen's character, to me, is a character whose power comes from her extensive knowledge. Thops speaks to us, albeit briefly, about Sellen's knowledge and how she was the most promising sorceress of the Academy. She ended up getting expelled due to her pursuit for knowledge about the primeval current and forbidden glintstone sorceries. But she was also evil considering she murdered a bunch of other sorcerers along the way, and she created the School of Graven Mages, which are those floating balls with sorcerer masks all over them that are made up of, you guessed it, sorcerers. She's definitely evil.
You didn't know Sellen, did you? Well, whatever the case, she's dead now. Just put it behind you. She was known as the Graven Witch. Obsessed by the primeval current, countless sorcerers fell to her hand. The most dangerous mage in the entire history of Raya Lucaria's academy.
Even with all her knowledge, though, she can't really do anything until we stumble upon her projection in Waypoint Ruins. We essentially progress her quest for her until its very end, even removing the primal glintstone, her life essence, and transferring it to a new body that's freed from the shackles put in place by the Academy. Back to that idea of how power is knowledge, she trades her knowledge of glintstone sorcery for us to complete these tasks for her. When people in the story call her powerful, sure, she's a powerful sorceress in her ability to use magic, but it wouldn't be as effective without how much knowledge she has of the different sorceries and even the primeval current. Notice how I'm using knowledge too and not intelligence, because she had to learn all these sorceries and sources of power like the primeval current. My questions are, what went wrong for her? Was this a situation where she grew up evil, or did this develop throughout her time as a student under Azor? Was she manipulated into this? Did Azor sell her on the primeval current and the forbidden glintstone sorceries? If we go with the idea that she was always inherently evil, then her motivations are simple. I want powerful knowledge to take over the world. Your typical generic villain. But what if we answer those questions I asked and make it a little more complex? Like, yes, Azor sold her on the forbidden glintstone sorceries and the primeval current, or at the very least caught her attention a few times. This could have led her to conduct these horrific acts to pursue the knowledge her mentor was after, kind of like justifying their acts in the name of science because the knowledge she was after was for the greater good. I'll continue this part in the revenge section, but her character isn't so black and white in my opinion. Back to when I mentioned that I've been speaking about her knowledge and not intelligence, she's really not all that intelligent considering she thinks she can take on Rennala, and that leads us to... I almost wanted to put pretentious instead of hubris, but I feel like that's what also really defines her character and what really gets her in the end. Like I mentioned, she thought she was strong enough to take on Rennala, which takes an almost delusional amount of self-confidence to do so. She probably thought that since Rennala was out of it, it would be easy to take over the Academy. As ambitious as she was, she didn't really have much to back it up compared to someone like Rennala. The exaggerated level of confidence in herself is also funny considering we did everything for her, including helping her kill Jaren to achieve her goal of taking over the Academy for a few minutes. She is thankful to the Tarnished for helping her though, and expresses her gratitude any chance she can, but the dots connect themselves when you explore her past. She was the most promising student in the Academy's history to when she thinks she can take on Rennala. Self-confidence is awesome to have, but letting it get to hubris to where you have this over-exaggerated sense of self can be, as we see from her story, pretty harmful. It isn't only harmful because of the direct consequences that may follow your actions, but what happens to your self-esteem afterwards. I know Sellen turns into one of the floating mage balls I mentioned earlier, so it's easy for her self-esteem and, well, entire mind to decompensate, but In our day-to-day, this could be related to sports, academics, our profession, and even how others perceive us. You could have this hubris where you don't feel like you need to study, and when you get hit with that F you're not used to, yeah, oh boy. Some might be in denial, thinking maybe the teachers got it wrong and they won't change. I think Sellen leans more on this side because I feel like her getting expelled for what she did further bolstered this hubris she had. She probably had thoughts like, I'm better than all the other sorcerers, screw the academy. But others might spiral and start to think they're a failure or they're not meant for much. Her hubris is probably what caused her to feel like she was ready to do something she always wanted to do against the academy, which is... I feel like she's not getting revenge just for herself and how she was expelled from the academy, especially being such a promising student, but also the treatment of those who wanted to pursue knowledge of the primeval current and the forbidden glintstone sorceries like her mentor. It makes me wonder if even those atrocious acts, like creating the floating mage balls, were some sort of revenge against the other factions within the academy in order to protest the way Azor and Lusat were treated. While I don't feel like revenge was her main goal, she did express resentment throughout her story, and the way she acts when she thinks she's in power of the academy proves that revenge was something she was always after. I'm going to play some clips of dialogue and discuss how important revenge was to her.
If you recall, I was exiled from the Academy of Rhea Lucaria. It was for attempting to restore the primeval current of glintstone sorcery. The toothless pedantry peddled by the Carian royal family can rot for all I care. I want glintstone sorceries that open our minds, unbound by terrestrial taboos.
I think we could all deduce that she's not the Academy's biggest fan from her language towards them. Not only for what they did, but notice the part about terrestrial taboos. Part of the hubris I spoke about earlier, I believe she thinks she's smarter than all of them and knows better than them when it comes to setting boundaries or rules against certain magic.
It will do no good, I swear it. And yet you persist. You frothing degenerates!
It's safe to say that anyone that's gone through torture and has come out of it the other side alive would want revenge. In Sellen's story, she's the main character who's done nothing but try to obtain this forbidden knowledge these foolish sorcerers don't approve of. Yet, in reality, she will do whatever it takes to achieve her goal, including murdering and torturing others. Continuing on the idea of her hubris being a factor, she doesn't learn from this. Albeit torture's a terrible way to teach someone how to change, it's wild that she was able to stay this set in her mindset.
Better still, I've shed those awful shackles. Finally, I can return to the Academy to expel the Carian royal family and restore the primeval current.
What do you notice here? Maybe I'm reading into it too far, but notice how she mentioned that she's going to expel the Carian royal family first, not restore the primeval current. It could be a situation where the intention of the script was to state her actions in chronological order, but what if revenge is what's on her mind and the primeval current is a nice little caveat?
Ah, my apprentice. You've saved my skin once again. Do you see this? The Queen of Caria is no more.
Another example of her immediately speaking about her revenge instead of discussing the primeval current first, as she's boasting about taking down the Carian royal family before anything else. After listening to the dialogue, you could even argue that revenge could have been her main goal. Maybe she was just using that as an excuse to get back at the Academy for how they treated her and her mentor. Whatever you think, her story of revenge comes full circle when she's turned into one of the very things she created as a means to torture those that opposed her, an eternity as a floating mage ball. It's no wonder that Sellen earned her nickname. Through her pursuit of knowledge, she gained power that could have solidified this exaggerated sense of self she had throughout this revenge journey she was on. All three of these characteristics are a bad mix if they primarily make up who you are. They all kind of link, creating this endless cycle where one justifies the other, at least in Sellen's deranged mind. We've all probably sunk hours into learning something we love or are passionate about, but having that hubris can lead to us either not being able to accept failure or getting so hung up on failing that we lose sight of why we pursued this knowledge in the first place. If you made it this far in the video, I just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in. Again, Feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and let me know what you think about Sellen's story and other psychological aspects of the character in the comments.